Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Inside Feed NBA podcast brought to you by Inside Feed, and welcome to those of you who may be watching on YouTube as well. Little solo episode or video today without Lee, so you don't have to worry about some outrageous predictions that may blow your socks off, so stress-free kind of thing without him, but no, we'll be back early next week to do a NBA finals. I was about to say conference finals, but we're about to be up to the NBA finals. So we'll definitely do a preview for that early next week, depending on the result of the Atlanta Hawks Milwaukee Bucks Eastern Conference Finals. Of course, hopefully from a basketball perspective, we can see that go to 7 games. Of course, the Bucks up 3-2. With a home game for Atlanta tomorrow or Sunday, depending on when you're watching this. But yeah, hopefully the Hawks can win that and we can see a Game 7. But we'll definitely have an NBA Finals preview depending on when that finishes. But on to today's episode/video. And we're going to be talking about the Australian Boomers Olympic squad. And just quickly, if you are listening to this via podcast and you do want to flick over to the YouTube version, you will see on the YouTube version some highlights and vision of some of these players that have been announced in the Australian Boomers Olympic squad earlier today. So let's have a look at the squad, jump straight into it, a 12-man squad that Basketball Australia have announced. Starting with, we're going in alphabetical order, I guess, at the end of the day. Aaron Baines, Matthew Dellavedova, Dante Exum, Christopher Golding, Josh Green, of course, just finishing his rookie season with the Dallas Mavericks. Joe Ingles, the veteran there. Nick Kay, Jock Landale, a couple of NBL stars. Patty Mills, of course, is there, the leader of this squad, no doubt. Patty Mills, get on the bandwagon for him to be the Australian flag bearer at the Olympics. Surely that's got to come to fruition. Duop Reith is there. I'm going to put my hand up now and say I don't know a whole lot about him. Born in South Sudan, now applies his trade in the in Europe as part of the Euro League as well. 25-year-old, 6'11" centre. So looking forward to seeing what he can produce. I mean, his stats in the Euro League aren't too amazing, but clearly shown enough and impressed enough in training camp and whatnot to earn a spot in this 12-man roster, so congratulations to him. Another NBL player there in Nathan Sobey is part of the squad. Matisse Tybal, who I've, of course, spoken about plenty of times, he's in the squad, so great to see him make his Boomers debut, hopefully, of course. He was born in America, spent most of his time in America, but actually lived here in Australia for about 7 years during his childhood. But my initial reaction to the squad, I guess, is it kind of lacks power forwards. I'm trying to go through that 12-man squad and wonder, well, who's a primary power forward there? And this is where, of course, the big omission, the exclusion of Ben Simmons comes into play. Now, I, in my starting lineup, would have had Simmons as power forward. Now, I know that's not necessarily his position in the NBA. He is, a point guard after all. But I think in this Boomers squad, he would have worked really well in as a power forward. And I kind of look through the team here, and I just wonder what players are going to fill in as primary power forwards on this team. And I think it's a case of the coaching staff either having to go small and potentially have someone like a Joe Ingles play at the 4. Now, Joe's, a small forward really in the NBA, but his versatility, especially at the international level, basically allows him to play 2 through 4 and also, provides, a lot of ball handling to the Boomers squad as well. So he could potentially play as kind of a small ball 4. Or they could go really big, and that's what I kind of expect them to do with their starting lineup. So let's get into my predicted starting lineup now. Now, I'm not going to profess that I'm an expert and know more than the coaching staff, so this could be completely wrong. But, I think I've got a fair idea on most of these players, maybe apart from Reith, which I spoke about before. But I do watch, obviously, a heap of NBA, and I do follow the NBL a fair bit as well. So let's get into what I think is going to be the starting lineup for the Boomers come Game 1 in Tokyo. Now, I think there's 2 locks in the starting lineup, and that is Joe Ingles and Patty Mills. I think, obviously, the 2 veterans been around the setup for a long time, and when it comes to international basketball, obviously, America, talent-wise, is going to absolutely wipe the floor with everyone. There's no doubt about that. Look, they'll probably, let's not say probably, they will win the gold medal on sheer talent, but for those other nations like us that are fighting to actually be in that gold medal game, a lot of it does come down to chemistry. And a lot of these guys like Millsy and Ingles have played a lot of basketball together in the green and gold. So they're the two veterans of the squad, probably their last chance to really go far in an Olympics. And that's why I guess it's so disappointing that Ben Simmons isn't available. But I mean, yeah, as I said, they're the experienced guys. They're the guys that have been around for a while, and they're the best players at the end of the day. Like, they've, in terms of NBA experience and NBA quality, Joe Ingles and Paddy Mills are definitely two of the best that Australia has produced in recent times, that is for sure. But now we get into, the three other positions, which are all up in the air for me. So if Paddy's the starting point guard, Joe Ingles starting small forward, we'll go to the two guard position, and I'm going to start, and I've been pretty keen on this all along, probably in the last 12 months, ever since it came out that this guy was actually going to be eligible to play for Australia, and that is Matisse Thybulle. Now, a lot of Australians mainly follow Australians in the NBA or around the world or whatever, and might not necessarily have heard too much about Matisse Thybulle. As I said, I've spoken about him before, but for me, when we look at these squads, we can't be like America and just pick absolute superstars that are all-star caliber talents. We can't do that. We can't pick guys that have an all-around game where they're just elite in every single aspect of basketball. We don't produce that. Now, that's just, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. But what can we do to try and make up for it? Well, let's have a look at guys that are elite in at least one particular area. And when I look at Matisse Thybulle, he is an all-worldly, elite defender at the NBA level. And I'm sure he will be come the international level at the Olympics as well. If we have a look at some of his highlights here, the guy is just... He's just a defensive beast, and he will be a multiple All-NBA first team, All-NBA defensive first team, I should say, across his NBA career. His ability on defense is just, I'm not sure where he gets it from, but it is just incredible. He's got reasonable length, what is he, 6'7" or something like that, but just his IQ on defense, his ability to make plays is just incredible, and hopefully on this team he can do a similar thing to what he does with the Philadelphia 76ers, and really provide some elite defense which can turn into transition baskets on the other end. So for me, Matisse Thybulle, purely for his defense, has probably got to be in there. And I mean, he's not going to be asked to do a whole lot on offense, but I think he has the capability to hit an open shot here and there. He's a capable enough three-point shooter. It's something he definitely needs to develop as he furthers his NBA career. But at this stage, he can be, he'll take the open three, and that's all you can ask for. He can also cut to the basket and finish there. Like, that's all he's going to be doing on offense. He's not going to be a ball handler or anything like that, or a major part of the offense, but I think for defensive purposes, especially with Paddy in the other backcourt position, I love Paddy Mills, and Paddy Mills turns into, I think someone said in one of our group chats a few weeks ago that Paddy Mills just turns into Kyrie Irving when he puts on the green and gold, I should say, and he does. He's fantastic, but he is a little bit of a liability defensively with his height, I guess, or his lack of height. So to have an elite defender next to him, I think, is really important and bodes really well for the Boomers. So if you have them in the backcourt, Ingles at small forward. If we look at, we'll start with the center position, because I think that's probably most likely locked in, and I think that's Aaron Baines. And I spoke about before about the chemistry facet of this, and I think Aaron Baines has been around, well, he has been around for a while. He's been part of the Boomer system for a long time. Like Paddy and Joey, loves pulling on the green and gold, and he's had a disappointing season for the Raptors during the NBA season that's still going on, but the NBA season for the Raptors that's obviously concluded. And, he was a little bit disappointing, but I'm not going to read too much into that, because I think he's someone like Paddy, especially, who, when they put on the green and gold, when they represent Australia, they seem to go to another level and they actually lift their games. And he's certainly a really valuable big guy in today's modern NBA, someone that can obviously do what a centre should in terms of rebounding inside, providing that interior defense. He puts his body on the line and takes charges and whatnot, but he also has the ability to step out and hit a corner three. And I was really looking forward to seeing Ben Simmons in this lineup if I was to have Ben alongside Paddy Mills, Joe Ingles, Aaron Baines, and Matisse Thybulle, four guys around him that can shoot at a pretty high level, and basically just playing five out and allowing Ben to play in an open floor and just basically putting everyone else around the perimeter and just making open shots, really. But obviously that's not happening, unfortunately, with Ben Simmons not there. So for me, who's going to step in to take Ben Simmons' role? And it's a really tough one at the end of the day. Like, you're not replacing Ben Simmons. Can we actually replace Ben Simmons? Because he's never actually been part of the team. So are we really replacing him? I don't know. Whatever you want to say about it, it is disappointing at the end of the day. And it is a hole that we would have liked Ben to fill. But unfortunately, it's not the case. And as I spoke about before, you need to be able to plug someone in there who is either going to be another big or someone like Joe, or maybe, you put another guard in there and you run a 3-guard lineup and then Joe at the 4, something like that. I think that's what they might do at end of games to try and, provide enough offense kind of thing. But the guy that I would plug in at the power forward position, he's played a bit of this for Melbourne United alongside another big, and that is Jock Landale, who I think won't be in the NBL for very long. I mean, by the start of next NBA season, I could really easily see Jock Landale on an NBA roster. It's as clear as that. I think he's uber talented. He's got the length and the size to be a really solid NBA player, and he's got the skill set as well. He's got, as I spoke about with Bainesy, he's got an ability to have a modern NBA bigs skill set, which is handle the ball a little bit in transition, to be a solid enough defender, to rebound a little bit, and to shoot from distance. And he clearly does that. And the other thing with him is he's in really good form, which I think is massive going to these Tokyo Olympics. He's just come off winning the finals MVP for Melbourne United in their demolition, really, of the Perth Wildcats in the NBL Grand Final Series. So he's been in absolutely great form over the course of last NBL season. I think he averaged about 16 points and 8 rebounds. So I think from a talent perspective, if I just had to say, all right, let's chuck some, if we're going to replace Ben or put someone in the position we thought Ben was going to fill, let's try and put the most talent out there. And I think of these other players that I haven't mentioned, the other 8 outside of Tybal, Ingles, Mills and Baines, I think Jock Landale is probably the most talented, and therefore I'd probably plug him in next to Bainesy. Now, the other positive thing is that both those guys can shoot from deep. So yes, we're playing playing those two would be going big in terms of size in the front court. I do think, however, though, that those two guys have a modern skill set, an offensive skill set, to be able to shoot the ball from deep. They do. It's that's clear. So it's not like we're going with two slow bigs that can't shoot the ball who are really just going to clog the paint. That's not going to happen. So I'm comfortable and happy with if they decide to use that option to have Landale at the 4 and Baines at the 5. I'm happy and comfortable that can work, especially in international basketball, because to me, can Jock Landale defend 4s in the NBA? No, he can't. But fortunately, in international basketball, the Olympics, he's not going to come up against the ultra-athletic guys that we see in the NBA, like, Giannis is the perfect example. Like, we're not going to see that in every game. Maybe against America, you might come up against a Kevin Durant that's playing at the 4 or something like that. Like, that'll be difficult, sure. But most teams aren't going to have those kind of guys, those ultra-athletic guys that are going to give Jock Landale an absolute nightmare of a time on defense. So, as we saw his highlights there before, I think he's got a really good offensive game. And if I had to question, the issue with his starting lineup, maybe it is on the offensive end, because I think defensively it's great. Millsy, slightly undersized, but he tries. He tries at least. Tybal, elite. I think he's a top 5 defender in the NBA, especially if we're looking at wings. He's a top 5 perimeter defender in the NBA, in the world, I guess we say. Joey Ingles, Lee and I joked a couple of episodes ago that he's a kind of a slow white guy, but he's a really good perimeter defender. Bainesy puts his body on the line. So I think defensively we're actually pretty well set up. Again, we would have been better if we had Ben, who's, again, like Tybal, another top 5 defender in the world, basically. So that would have been handy, but it is what it is. I want to stop kind of ranting on Ben Simmons because we just got to move forward from him and just accept that he's not there. But anyway, I think offensively, though, is where the issues might arise. Now, everyone can shoot the ball, at least, to a certain level, which is great. But, the ball handling, I think Millsy and Joey Ingles will obviously take the most of that. But how well we can do, I guess, in a half-court set is going to be really interesting. And a debate, I guess, that I'm having in my head about, do we bring, another ball handler onto the team, another person that can, into the starting lineup, I should say, someone that can create off the dribble kind of thing. So it's going to be interesting. That's my 5 that I would go with. Paddy Mills, Matisse Tybal, Joe Ingles, Jock Landale, and Aaron Baines. That would be my 5. as I said, I think really Joey Ingles and Paddy Mills are probably the only ones that are really locked in. I mean, dare I say it, if they really want more shooting, Chris Goulding could almost come and start. Like, he's really the only one off the bench that I see as a lockdown, not as a lockdown, as an elite three-point shooter. So if they really want that, I mean, he could play if they struggle shooting the ball. I don't think that's going to happen early on, but if they kind of get desperate and really need some shooting out there, and some elite three-point shooting, because in that starting five, Paddy's probably the only one that you consider a really good three-point shooter. Sorry, Joey Ingles is pretty good as well, but yeah, I mean, there may be a lack of shooting there potentially. So Chris Goulding's one that could come in if really needed, but I wouldn't necessarily wanting to be starting him in the Olympics, that's for sure. If you look at the rest of the team and what I was, my reaction to it is that it's pretty guard heavy, and it's really it's going for experience over anything else. So if you look, I spoke about obviously Mills and Tybal in that backcourt together. Now Tybal could definitely come off the bench and play the 3 spot. I think he's a 2-3 kind of type. Doesn't really matter. I mean, in this lineup I've got him at the 2, but whatever else. I think if you look at, you got Delhi, who's made the team. You got Dante Exum, who's made the team. You got Josh Green, who's kind of a 2-3 as well. Sobey's a 2-3 kind of thing. So there's a lot of guys, I think, in this team that are, 1-3 types kind of thing. And there's not a lot of power forwards, as I spoke about. And, in the center position, you've obviously got Bainesy, Landale plays some minutes at center. Reith as well. Nick Kay is someone there as well. So, I mean, Nick Kay is someone who could potentially start as well. He definitely could start at that 4 position. So, yeah, the experience factor, I guess, is there, given they've picked Delhi. Now, Delhi, we basically haven't seen him for a long time. I think he's had some concussion issues, barely played for the Cavs last season. There were murmurs that he might not even make this squad, but he has. And again, I think it's his kind of last hurrah to try and win a medal, so he's going to be super motivated to try and achieve that. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do. He's going to get some bench minutes at the end of the day. Dante Exum, I spoke about with Lee last episode. We were talking about the American team briefly. We spoke about Kevin Love and how much of a piss take it was that Kevin Love was there. But I actually said that it's a really important Olympics for Kevin Love to try and reboot his NBA career and get some value into his NBA career and potentially get traded to another team, be wanted by another team. Well, Dante Exum's in a similar position. Now, he's not Kevin Love because Kevin Love's on over $30 million and he's got his money locked in. Dante's probably in a more even important position because his NBA career is really on the line. He's jumped from team to team. He seems to be in every trade that his team makes kind of thing. Like, he's happy to be, teams are happy to offload him to other teams. He's a guy who was a pick 6 overall back in 2014, I think. So he's a guy that had a lot of talent coming into the NBA, and he's still a defensive stud. And can be plugged in for Australia and for NBA teams as a really elite defensive player. But offensively, he was a guy that, with his length, 6'6", really good athleticism, could potentially get to the rack, play, make, ball handle for you. Just needed to improve his outside shot a little bit. I mean, his NBA career is really fluctuating and it's disappointing, but I've still got high hopes for him, and hopefully this Olympics can potentially turn things around for him. So he's a player I'm super interested in. And the other thing is he hasn't played for the Boomers for quite some time. I think it was back 2015, 2016, sometime around that, where he did his ACL actually playing for the Boomers. I think that may have been the last time he's actually played for Australia. So super keen to get a look at him. Now, a couple of players that miss. Mitch Creek is one that was probably a bit unlucky. The other big name one, I guess, is Josh Giddey, who a lot of people might not, a lot of people that follow NBA solely might not have heard about, but he's going to be drafted, and he's going to be drafted at least in the top 15 in this upcoming draft at the end of the month here for the NBA. And a lot of mock drafts actually have him a lot higher than that. I saw one this morning where he's actually going pick 7 to my Warriors. So he's rated really high. And if we look at some of his highlights here for those watching on YouTube, he's clearly a guy who's got immense talent. If you think of LaMelo Ball, he's that kind of length. He's 6'8", 6'9" point guard with that kind of ball handling. The playmaking ability of LaMelo Ball is there. He's been recognised as probably the best playmaker passer in this draft coming up. So he's a guy that's missed out Now, he's part of kind of the injury replacement player, so we might still see him at this Olympics for sure, but I'm kind of surprised that he didn't make the cut. I mean, if you're looking at upside and the future, then clearly Josh Giddey's a better option than Delhi, for example, but clearly they think that this aging core, I guess, of Delhi, Mills, Ingles, Baines has one more run left in them to try and win Australia a medal. And maybe when it comes down to the clutch moments in big games, you're going to want Delhi over someone like Josh Giddey, who's 18, 19 years of age or whatever he is. So I think that's really fascinating, that dynamic in terms of the age and the experience level and what they've gone for there. I think a lot of people are pretty surprised that they haven't picked Giddey, but they do have a pretty heavy guard rotation already, so it's not overly surprising, and clearly they preferred to go with a Dellavedova and would have obviously preferred to put in a Duop Reith, Nick Kay, a big guy in there, rather than another guard, even though Giddey might be more talented as an overall basketball player compared to those guys. So super interesting there, but really looking forward to this Olympic campaign. Look, in terms of my predictions, no one's beating America. Like, America have put a good squad together. Disregard the championships, what were they, last year or the year before, whatever it was, where they put a poor team together and they didn't even, I think they got kicked out in the quarterfinals or something, didn't they? They were horrendous. But disregard that. They put a good team together. We'll go through that, I'm sure, before the Olympics start. And no one's beating them. No one is beating them. And I said on last episode, I think they're paying like $1.17. If you have like $100,000 to invest or whatever, probably just go put it on them, to be honest, and win yourself $17,000 in a couple of weeks. Like, that's what I would do. But I don't have that money. But yeah, no one's beating them. But it's a real race and a real battle to see who comes into this gold medal game, and we'll face them. And even without Ben Simmons, if we did have Ben Simmons, I think we'd be favourite to get into that gold medal game. Even without him, we're still a chance. I think it's wide open. I think you've got Spain and a couple of other European teams that are definitely going to be right up there, but there's a chance. There's a chance. And to be fair, do I think we're going to make the gold medal game? Without Ben, I don't think so. I don't think we'll make the gold medal game, but the bronze medal game should definitely be the aim at the minimum. And I'll be disappointed if we don't win a bronze medal. I really will. It's been so many disappointing occasions, I guess, where we've had high hopes for winning a medal at the Olympics, and we've come away empty-handed when it comes to basketball. But this is another great opportunity where it's wide open for everyone outside of America. Anyone could come over the top. All you got to do is play a few good games over the course of a couple of weeks, and you get yourself right there, potentially vying for a gold medal. I mean, anyone who plays America will probably lose by 40 points in the gold medal game, but it is what it is. As I said, I'd be disappointed if this squad couldn't get a bronze medal, because, I mean, outside of Ben Simmons, it is fairly full strength. I mean, you look at guys like Thon Maker. I mean, he could be in the team, but is he really going to be that much of a loss? Not really. I mean, all the other kind of NBA guys are there and ready to go. And obviously, as I spoke about, a lot of them actually grow a leg or two come the Olympics. So really looking forward to it. Thanks, guys, for listening to this episode. Let us know on social media what you guys think the starting lineup will be going into Game 1 of Tokyo 2020 for the Australian Boomers. Really looking forward to it. Really looking forward to tomorrow's game between the Milwaukee Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks. You'll probably be listening or watching this on the day. In fact, the game might have already finished already. But hopefully the Hawks get a win. Hopefully we can go to Game 7. And really looking forward to one of those two teams facing the Phoenix Suns in the NBA Finals. Apart from that, guys, we'll see you early next week with an NBA Finals preview.